Havenhurst. The year is 50 A and B, after nuclear blast. It's a long dawn on the outskirts of no man's land. Daisy Weber runs through the brush panicked. She is being chased by a nicktooth flying overhead. A large bat with a 4-foot wingspan, swimmingly hungry for human meat. 3 short goblin-like humans, devolved by the radiation, follow some distance behind. She jumps over a small wooden gate, tripping a wire that drops bags of tin and glass cans to the ground, making a loud noise that startles the nicktooth as it prepares to dive. She runs past a welcome sign, Pear Blossom, love, peace, and happiness. The population, 23,000, is scratched off and a 0 is carved in its place. Daisy runs through the front yards of the abandoned houses and jumps onto a porch for refuge as the nicktooth makes its dive. She hears a loud bang in her proximity. The nicktooth crashes into her, driving her through the door and knocking her unconscious. An hour later, Daisy wakes up in a hammock, swinging gently with the wind. It's somewhat relaxing. This might be what her father meant when he told her stories about the old world, before the nuclear war, and what Tennessee in the fall felt like before she was born. A well-built man, with scars on his back and a shaved head, is kneeling in front of a small garden full of daisies. His large, rough hands tend to each one very tenderly. A tattoo of skull and bones adorns his jagged right arm. It reads, 2/5, Devil Dogs. Daisy recognizes the emblem. She gets up abruptly and falls out of the hammock as it rolls with her sudden movement.
Who the hell are you, and what are you doing here?
The raspy voice demands. Daisy scrambles to her feet and picks up her backpack. His piercing hazel green eyes show the discontent he feels toward the intruder. Daisy fumbles with her backpack, but is able to bring out a green folder. Daisy sits in front of him and sets the folder on the table next to her.
Mr. Moreno?
Sergeant.
He corrects her.
Sergeant Moreno.
Former.
He barks once again.
My name is Daisy Weber, a prolific scientist and explorer from Havenhurst Colony, populated by survivors from the former United States of North America.
She continues as he chews on pieces of meat on the table.
I'm here to inform you that your services are desperately needed at this moment of crisis, and by the power invested in me by the letter of Havenhurst, I hereby reinstate you to active duty, effective immediately.
Moreno pulls the folder towards him. Daisy tries to pull back but is overpowered by his rugged hands. He notices a note where she had written her whole speech.
Pathetic.
He stands up, grabs a dirty old duffel bag from the porch, and walks inside the house. Daisy doesn't follow, but speaks to him from the outside. She checks her watch, which is running on a countdown. 11 hours, 22 minutes, and counting.
We need your help. The world needs your help. Base X-Ray in Havenhurst found a silo in former San Francisco that is active and on a countdown to deploy the 5 warheads left in its tunnels. We found that the guidance on the missiles was damaged in the latest aftershock and has been targeted to hit parts of former Texas, Oregon, and Arizona, decimating what is left of us. We figured out the launch codes, but the aftershock served our line communications with the silo. I have to do it manually.
She takes a piece of meat and inspects it. She takes a bite and chews it slowly. She doesn't mind the taste. She grabs the rest and puts it in her mouth. Moreno comes out of the house with a duffel bag full of canned food.
And they sent you as a last resort? A prolific scientist?
The sarcasm is evident. He puts the duffel bag at her feet.
I'm done doing missions for anyone, let alone for what's left of this piece of shit remembrance of a country. Already gave too much. And for what? It's fucking paradise?
It's a new world out there. People are different. We care for each other. We want to move forward and live.
I couldn't give 3 shits if nukes are coming to take what's left of this shithole. Say good riddance. It's about time the human virus was eradicated. I'll lay on my hammock and wait for that glorious flash in the sky.
Daisy is distraught. She gets up from the chair and grabs her backpack.
I can't believe this withered, bitter old man is the hero everyone talks about. Age and radiation have done a number on you. I don't need you to complete my task.
She turns around and walks away.
I'm smart enough to get this done by myself. I need no stinking old man to slow me down anyway.
Her voice fades away as she walks into the tall brush. Moreno sits back down on the chair and reaches for more meat on the board, but it's all gone. He murmurs to himself,
I'm not withered. Or bitter.
Daisy has been walking the path set by her map for a few minutes. Her mind has not been at ease since she left Pear Blossom. The familiar sound of the winged nicktooth echoes above her. She tries to run for cover, but she has left the brush trail far behind. The Nicktooth dives for the kill, and an easy one it would have been if not for a wooden arrow piercing through its left eye. The dead Nicktooth lands next to her quivering body. Moreno comes running from the brush.
Sergeant.
She yells gratefully. Moreno takes out his knife and severs the Nicktooth's thigh.
Dinner.
He tosses the piece of meat in a bag.
Ugh, you eat those things?
She asks disgustedly.
What do you think you ate back there? Do you see any cows around here?
He starts walking down the path.
I'll take you close enough to San Francisco. You're on your own from there.
Daisy just realized she ate a Nicktooth.
I think I'm gonna be sick.
She runs to catch up to Moreno. The small shadowy figures follow them through the brush. Los Angeles Zoo, 0200 hours. It's a full moon tonight and a howl can be heard in the distance. But it's not just any howl. It sounds big. It sounds primal. Russian soldiers patrol the perimeter of an abandoned zoo. Inside the zoo there is a heavily guarded enclosure. Upon closer look, it appears to be an old Arctic habitat exhibit. Inside there are several enormous creatures hulking around. They are tall and human-like, with an indigo, almost frostbitten complexion. Draped in old military fatigues and tactical gear, they appear to be Russian soldiers who survived the nuclear fallout. The radiation must have caused them to mutate into giants. Inside the old polar bear exhibit is an enormous man. Not as big as the Russian giants out there, but still bigger than Sergeant Moreno. It's Czar beating on the head of one of those goblin-looking humans. A hooded figure strolls into the room, interrupting his swing. Czar shouts at the mysterious character.
Well, where are they? Relax, big guy. I got there 20. I've had my guys following the girl since Havenhurst.
The skull and bone devil dog tattoo is prominent on the left side of his neck. The dog tags around his neck confirm it. American. He wears an old name tape on his tactical vest. Ivanov. Moreno and Daisy are driving in an old Jeep on an abandoned highway, along with remains of the old charging stations and dilapidated restaurants. Daisy checks her watch. The countdown reads 8 hours, 33 minutes, 15, 14, 13 seconds. They are approaching a large hill where there are several abandoned cars. They get out and proceed to climb up the hill. At the top, there is a massive tear in the earth. It is a San Andreas Canyon. The only way to the other side is a loose rock bridge. As they cross, a part of the bridge collapses. They are forced to climb down into the depths of the canyon. They come across a spider's nest. But just like the giants, these spiders have been mutated and are enormous. They rush to climb up before they are eaten. The weight of all of the spiders forces the bridge to completely give way. Our heroes barely make it across with their lives. They find a vehicle on the side of the road. It's a trap. They are ambushed by Czar's men. They are forced out of the car and the same hooded figure walks up to them. Moreno recognizes him. Then boom! Lights out. Moreno wakes up tied to a post. Ivanov tends to his weapons. Sergeant Moreno looks at him and laughs.
You look just as lost and scared now as you did back then. Pathetic.
Ivanov is about to kick our hero while he's defenseless, but is stopped by Czar.
Now, that's no way to treat our guests, is it, Lieutenant Havenhurst?
He stares down Ivanov, smiles, and turns to Moreno.
Please forgive the lieutenant. He's not used to having company. Lieutenant, untie our guests.
Nice to see you're still taking orders, Ivanov.
Moreno grunts at the lieutenant. Czar gives Daisy and the Sarge a tour of his base. He offers his help to get to the silo. Reluctantly, they accept. Start heading north to the next rendezvous point. 3 hours into the journey, the sergeant and Czar get into an argument about the war. Czar can't keep up the facade any longer.
Time is running out, and I won't waste it arguing with a sorry excuse for a soldier.
Czar orders his henchmen to kill Daisy and Sergeant Moreno. Czar continues up the mountain. The henchmen stay back to get rid of our heroes. Seconds before their last breath, Ivanov saves them. He gives them the chance to escape, but warns them not to interfere anymore and threatens them with what will happen if they do. Czar sees the whole thing from up on the mountain. He orders his mutated soldiers to let them run, but not too far. Sergeant Moreno gets away, but Daisy is not so lucky. She is captured by the soldiers and is taken away. Sergeant Moreno continues down the mountain, thankful that he escaped. He couldn't care less about Daisy and their previous mission. He's back to looking out for number one. Czar's convoy reaches the silo base with only a few minutes left in the countdown. Czar tells Maxim, the Juggernaut, to bring Daisy to him. Maxim complies. He throws a tied-up Daisy in front of Czar, Ivanov, and the other men.
I know you have the codes memorized.
Czar crouches in front of Daisy. She stares at him with disgust.
If you plan on surviving after this, giving me the codes will guarantee that.
I will never give you the codes, you crazy bastard.
Czar stands up and stares at her for a few seconds. Then he backhands her. Daisy falls to the ground. Czar signals to Lieutenant Ivanov to pick her up and tie her to the pole. Czar stares suspiciously at the lieutenant.
Sir,
Screeches one of the mercenaries.
what is it? The silo base is open.
A thin fog covers the carcass of destroyed aircrafts, unused tanks, and cars that litter the tarmac inside the base. A huge wall surrounds the area, with 4 lookout towers on each corner. Czar signals to all the men to secure the area.
Lieutenant Ivanov, go ahead with your men and locate the computer.
Yes, sir.
Maxim takes Daisy off the pole and brings her to Czar.
Soon, you will give me the codes, and I will finally complete the mission.
Czar grabs Daisy and takes her to the front of the entrance. At the bottom of the mountain, Moreno finally runs through the dust and finds a bike shop. He goes inside to search for a vehicle and weapons. He quickly finds a functional motorcycle, a pump-action shotgun, Bowie knife, and a belt with 4 grenades. He drives out of the shop toward the base. Czar, Daisy, and his men are walking inside the base and scan the building. They go into the rooms where the nukes are. 5 nukes are placed around the huge room, ready for launch. Lieutenant Ivanov and the other mercenaries are at the main computer. Czar throws Daisy to the ground and signals the other men to gather around.
We are finally close to completing a mission we've been working on for quite a long time. However, this young lady here is stopping us from our final goal.
Czar takes out his knife, walks towards Daisy, and slowly and delicately cuts down her face. Daisy screams in agony. Czar aggressively grabs her face and punches her stomach.
Now are you going to give me the codes, or do I have to keep torturing you?
Go to hell.
Daisy whimpers as she tries to catch her breath. With an angry expression, Czar punches Daisy and she drops to the ground. Lieutenant Ivanov runs up to Czar and punches him.
I think that's enough.
Ivanov says angrily. Moreno arrives outside the base and hops off from his motorcycle. He runs towards the front door. He heads to the room with the nukes in them.
A woman not surprised. You helped her and Moreno escape, and now you want to save her again. I am very disappointed in you, Lieutenant. I took you in after your men were killed, and this is how you repay me? Lieutenant, you were a very good soldier, but I will not allow a traitor to stop me from completing the mission.
Czar walks beside Ivanov, takes out his pistol, and shoots him. Moreno sees this, yells, and throws the belt of grenades towards the other hardware in the room. An explosion occurs, and most of the men close to the blast are killed. Daisy and Czar are thrown against the wall. Czar gets up as Moreno runs towards him and tackles him. They begin fighting each other. Daisy is able to untie her hands and scrambles towards the main computer. Moreno and Czar engage in hand-to-hand combat. Daisy tries to input the codes in the main computer, but Maxim grabs her and throws her to the ground. He walks towards her and picks her up. Daisy begins to hit him and struggles to get out of his grasp. Moreno grabs his shotgun and points it at Maxim. Czar tackles him, but Moreno is still able to pull the trigger and hits Maxim on his right leg. Daisy hits the ground. She staggers towards the shotgun. Maxim goes after her, but then Daisy points his shotgun directly at his gigantic throat and pulls the trigger. Maxim's dismembered head drops to the ground.
Oh shit.
Daisy gets up and walks towards the main computer to put in the codes to stop the nukes from going off. But after doing so, another countdown begins.
Self-destruct sequence activated. 5 minutes and counting.
Czar hears the countdown and stabs Moreno. He runs towards Daisy, tackles her down, and begins to choke her.
I have spent years waiting for this moment, and you have taken it from me.
Daisy tries to punch him, but is unsuccessful. She is running out of breath. Moreno tackles Czar and pins him to the ground.
Daisy, time is running out. You have to leave now.
I can't leave without you.
You don't have time for this. Leave now.
Moreno struggles to keep Czar down.
I'm glad we met.
He affirms as he smiles at her. Daisy starts to cry. She runs towards the exit and makes it outside the perimeter. The countdown winds down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The blast throws Daisy off the ground. Dust and debris take over the area. Years later, Daisy is driving through an open field full of daisies. The San Andreas Canyon has been filled by the Pacific Ocean waters. She stops in front of a gate adorned with a sign that reads, New Havenhurst, Moreno Island, population 23,750. The gate opens and she drives into the town.